What's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Thought Provoking Podcast. Today, we got a special guest today. You want to introduce yourself?
Hello. My name is Camica Anderson. I'm Camica the Cake Doctor.
I like that right there. Business lady. Lady.
I make custom cakes. Whatever you got in mind, I could design. So you can always hit me up on Facebook at Camica the Cake Doctor or on my personal page, Camica Anderson, or also call or text 219-290-5595.
Y'all make sure y'all support, man. Make her stuff
Yes.
number one. You want all your cake needs, go to Camica.
Yes, please.
Today we got an episode on is co-parenting as easy as people think? But before we get into that, I want to ask you, lady, on a scale of 1 to 10, rate yourself mentally and business-wise.
Mentally, I say right now I'm probably like a 6. I ain't where I need to be. I'm still going through some stuff, just trying to get back focused and figure out my life.
And on a scale of 1 to 10 in business, what would you say you at?
Business-wise, this is my first business venture on my own. So I would say probably like a 5. I know I got potential to run it and make it run smooth. But right now, we're working full-time nursing job, kids, husband, and just life. It's a lot. So it's hard for me to make it a 10 right now. So I know I can't say it's a 10. So honestly, I think about a 5.
I say on a scale of 1 to 10, when it comes to mentally, I would say that I'm at a 7. Trying to push myself up a little higher. I've been at a 7 for a good while. Again, I'll be a little impatient when it comes to things that I want to happen now. Instead of just enjoying the process as I go through it. I'll be trying to rush certain things. And when it comes to business, I would say that I'm at a strong 7. To get myself to a 10, I think it's just more scheduling when it comes to getting people on the pod and other ventures that I want, just schedule-wise. So I'm in full agreement with you on that. So, you went to EC Central.
Yes, I
class
did.
of 03.
03.
Okay.
Woo-woo, the best class.
I know that's right. Which I made the statement that 03 class has some of the best black women that was in there.
Y'all better watch out
black
now.
don't crack, just so you know.
You
Black
see?
don't crack. Black don't crack. And you were studying nursing at Indiana University.
I did.
Okay, you finished that up. And how was that journey?
It was a process. Nursing in itself is a whole, I think by the time I got to the end and got to mental health, I thought I needed some mental help.
Yeah, I can
It's
imagine.
very stressful, but it is what you make it. It's rewarding, but also demanding job, because you got people hands in your life. I do. I love taking care of people. I love being there to help them out. I've witnessed some great moments in people's lives, got to meet some wonderful people along the way, lost some wonderful people along the way. So it's a journey.
How do you deal with that when it's people that you're close to that you've lost?
I had this one patient I took care for almost 10 years when I was doing home health, and she just recently passed in January of this year. So that was kind of hard for me because she was like another aunt for me. She knew everything about me as far as the family. I took my kids to visit her, so it can be rough. So I'm still dealing with that, but I think it's worth it in the end. That you get that sense of love and compassion.
Oh, yeah.
So I love it.
Prayers to that family,
Yes.
And anybody that's suffering from a loss of a loved one or a friend or someone close. This pandemic has really shaped a lot of people to where folks are wanting to get closer together, which is a good thing. People have lost so many folks, so prayers to everybody that's dealing with those type of situations there. How long have you been in business?
I started, I would say 2018.
2018.
Yep, 2018. But this year is when I really kind of pushed it a little forward, a little more with the help of some of my friends, Tarika, Alexis, and Renita. They stay on my butt as far as getting me focused and like, okay, what's your next step? What we need to do to push it a little bit further? Because they know me, I just sit around and like, I get to it in a minute.
Yeah.
I procrastinate
You gotta
all the way
be
up
on.
into the end, but they've been really pushing me, and I'm thankful to have friends like that.
So I like that because that's one thing that I think is missing in a lot of people's business. Someone pushing them forward, getting on them when you have them lazy
Yes.
moments, when you want to quit and you right on the brink of success. Them people giving you that added push to say, keep
Pushing
going.
in
I
them.
see
And they
more
also
in you.
invest in-
You're right
yes,
there.
yes.
Yeah, so I like that. Would you say the surrounding area that you grew up in, people are very supportive, getting the word out, and just basically purchasing from you?
It's funny because sometimes you get more support from
Outside.
strangers
Tell me
than you
about
do
it.
people in your own circle. I mean, I know my immediate circle, they rock with me regardless. So they like, hey, I got this person, they want a cake, can you do it? They always reaching out to me. But then you got some that you kind of surprised, like, oh, I thought you had my back. I thought you would be there, but
Yeah,
trust
me.
but
I know the feeling, and I'm at the stage in my life where I know a lot of people say, well, it is what it is, but I'm gonna start calling it out.
Yeah.
It's time to end all of that, and I did a previous episode about the culture vulture mentality, and the reason why it still exists is because we don't see value in each other.
Yeah.
Any big bakeries or people who do these fancy cakes, wedding type stuff. If you know that your friend can do the exact same stuff,
Yeah.
stop suggesting other people's
Yeah.
stuff, and let's make our own number one. Even if we get you out the way at you're number one in Northwest Indiana,
Right.
that's a start.
that's a
That's a start.
definitely a
Like
start.
let's get us to that point where we're number one in our own city and then Northwest Indiana. So, anybody that's watching, again, make sure you go support, check out her
Please.
website. If there's anything that you want from kids, cakes to, grown people stuff, trust me, you're going to find something that you want. And you are an Aries,
I am an Aries, the best sign ever.
April 6th. The reason why I bring that up, I'm April 13th.
Okay.
And there's a stigma about Aries.
Okay.
A lot of people like to say that we're impulsive. A lot of people like to say that we're impatient. But we also are very caring people.
Yes, we are.
We are to call you out on your nonsense
Yes.
if that's what it comes to. And I think people take that, oh, y'all angry, y'all
No.
aggressive.
Not
We
at
might
all.
have short tempers, but it's when you're pushing a button that you know that you should.
Shouldn't be pushing.
So the reason why I bring that up is because obviously, as we get into the topic of is co-parenting as easy as people think, a lot of people think our perspectives on certain stuff comes from a certain place
Yeah.
because we're Aries. So I just, I want to get that out there
Yeah.
that, we're going to be upfront and honest
That's-
at what we think. And
That's
we didn't,
it. That's all.
we didn't previously talk about
No.
what you thought. I just gave you the topic, asked you were you interested, and you agreed to, discuss it, right?
Yes.
Okay, so is co-parenting as easy as people think?
I think co-parenting is what you make it.
Okay.
It can be easy if you have parents that are willing to work together for the sake of the children. When I say that, I mean usually if you're not with the other parent and you move forward and there's no ill wills, you still wish them well. You really just all about the kids. It can be easy as pie, like simple. I have no problem with co-parenting with my girl's dad. I'm just one of them type of people. I'm not going to force you or try to make you do something that you already should be doing. I know my kids need to eat. I know they need clothes. I know they need shoes. So I'm going to get out and provide whether you do or not. When you do, that's extra. If you do, you don't, that's fine too. But then when you have parents who still want that tie with the other parent, then that's when it get complex. So you have from the women's perspective, not from me, because to me it is what you make it. I don't cause no hard feel. I mean, I don't, like I said, wish no ill will towards him, or as far as if he's in another relationship, I really don't even never be knowing what's going on. Let's kids
Sometimes
say.
it's a blessing. Sometimes
And
it's a
so,
blessing.
that's how much I'm not bothered or, think about it. But when you got someone who's questioning the kids, like, what you was doing with your daddy, who was at his house, that means there's still feelings there, and you can't really focus on the child because you're too busy focusing on your own feelings. And that's when it starts getting complex when, now when they're not doing what you want them to do, you want to keep the child away or, little silly stuff like that. So it can be easy, but you got to have two willing people to make it easy for the child.
Okay, I'm gonna throw this out. I definitely think that, in my opinion, that co-parenting is not as easy as people think. The reason why I say that is because I think for me, just some of the experiences that I've had, a lot of people say if you just focus on the child, that it'll be as simple as you know what. But then I find it a little hard because for me, I'm a guy that I don't smoke. I don't drink. Well, I'm sipping a little wine. That's kind of light.
Right,
But
yeah.
I don't smoke. I don't want that influence around my kids. So when my child's mother chooses someone that does something like that, I'm not trying to run her household to say, you bet not, because I'm not the baby daddy to say, oh, this person better not be around that person. But I do let it be known, like, I would hope that you have enough sense to say, hey, you don't smoke, I don't smoke. If this person is going to be doing it, not in front of my child.
Yeah.
My child should never come back to me smelling like weed. Like, come on, man. But then when you speak on that, a lot of people take it as, you in my business. You worried about what I got going on. You jealous. And it's like, nah, sweetheart, I left for a reason, or you left for a reason, and I didn't try and revisit that situation. So it's not so much as that I'm worried about just you, but I feel like sometimes it can be a package deal with it, even when it comes to just the mentality of the person that you're dating. When you're not in the household, you have an influence only with the time that you have.
Right.
When that person lives, with the other parent and they're around nonstop, they're having conversations, that's a big influence. What you listen to, the way you talk, the way you dress, all of that plays a factor.
That does.
And I do feel like a lot of times I'm never in that position to where I feel threatened by somebody else. But there are certain things that I will call out just to sit there and say, y'all arguing back and forth in front of a child. He's picking up on everything that you got going on. You're getting disrespected. Some people do that in front of kids. And then my child is watching that, picking up on that to say, oh, this how you talk to him.
Right, that's how you treat him.
This how you treat him.
Yeah.
Because growing up, and
That's
I told
what I
the
saw.
story before, how much of an influence is, with the people around you. Growing up, guys acted like it was gay for you to take women out.
Yeah.
Man, what you taking her out to eat for? Like, no, we don't do that. We just sleep with them and send them on about their way. Okay, that's cool if you don't really care about them.
You don't want no bonds with them. No.
But you realize as you get older, men don't know how to talk to women.
Not at
Don't know how to deal with them at all. Everything is, what you doing?
Yeah.
What you want? Hey, you want to drink? Like,
Yeah.
okay, so
No conversation.
all of that stuff plays a factor with who the person actually chooses, and it is what it is. But I feel like it really does become a package deal, because of the influence. And a lot of people feel like, nah, you just worried about the parents. So what would you say?
I want to say, like, hearing it from that perspective, I won't say you worried about the parents, but you still worry about the well-being of your child. Of course, if you don't do those things, the mom don't do those things, why would you want someone else doing those things in front of your child? So in that perspective, I would say you just speaking up for your child's safety. You know what it's like growing up as a kid, all the stuff you pick up on, you see. So that's still focusing in on the child to make sure that they have the best upbringing that is possible. So I don't think if you got another parent that's willing to communicate and listen and hear your viewpoints, it still can be an easy job as far as co-parenting. But when you got somebody like, I don't care what you're saying, this my house, when they coming back at you like that, then that's when it can get kind of complicated. But if you got somebody who's grown enough to say, this is my child father, let me listen to his concerns, let me see what can we do about it. Okay, we both raising this child, we both need to come to a happy medium. And if you got somebody who's grown enough and has some sense about it, then they're willing to meet you halfway. And you might not gonna get everything you want, but there's some kind of compromise.
Yeah. So we've seen co-parenting get real for a lot of people as far as a struggle, where you have men that get bitter over you moving on or messing with someone else. You have women who a lot of times get bitter because the man has moved on with his life, found someone else. Would you say you've ever had to deal with that personally, or at least saw someone that you were close to have to deal with that?
It's a touchy situation. It's a touchy situation right there now. Okay, so
Might want to drink to
I
that
probably definitely need a little, excuse me, let me sip on that one.
About to get real, listeners.
Okay. So, I mean, growing up, I had my first child young. And I could say, initially, like I said, when I still wanted to be with their dad, who don't want their relationship to work? But you had that first child, growing up, especially if you didn't have two parents in the home that, that made it work. So you trying to fight to make it work. You want your family. So initially, after I had my first child, there was a little bitterness. And it took some growing up and some learning, like, you deserve better. You ain't got to make it work with him. He not for you. Y'all both were young, but decided to go separate, and that's okay. And so I've always looked back at that like, okay, if I could grow up, like, okay, no matter who he have him around, I know he's not going to have him around somebody crazy who's going to do something to my kid. So if you want to go do something as a family, go ahead. Y'all enjoy yourself. And I've also seen it from being, I guess, a stepmom perspective. And
that's when it gets real. That's when it gets real.
That's when it gets real. My husband has 2 girls. I have 2 girls. And then we have 2 boys together.
Okay.
So.
Blended family.
Yeah. Very blended. Brady bunch, you could say. But it's not the Brady bunch.
Yeah.
As far as it being so smooth. It was smooth in the beginning, but, kids grow up. And like you said, they listen to certain stuff. They get influenced by certain things. And sometimes those attitudes change towards the step parent, even though, you didn't really have done anything to cause it. But, I just learned at this point it is what it is. But I've seen some, I don't know if it's bitterness or whatever it is, whatever the case may be. I can't speak for somebody else. I just know what I've witnessed as a step parent, and some things that were done that shouldn't have been done, to my husband, trying to be a father, some blocks that were put up to make it more hard for him to be a present father.
Yeah.
I don't want to go too much in detail because he might get a phone call later.
Oh, yeah, and, you know how that goes.
So,
you know how that goes.
So I ain't going to go too much in detail with that, but just, it can be hard with a blended family when you're trying to make it work. And, I just learned to stay out of stuff. I have a caring heart, and I really want the best for everybody around me. I love kids, so what I do for mine, I'm going to do for the next, especially if they're in my house. But at some point in time, I just have to wash my hands and know that, it's people out there that care about me, and I'm not going to force a relationship with somebody who's listening to somebody else have that influence about me, and I know I'm not that type of person, so I just kind of learn to give it to God.
And I would say that when you spoke on the bitterness, I would say that, and this is from my perspective, because obviously everybody has their own opinion and say, oh no, it happened like this and this way. But from my opinion, I would say that I had to experience that side of it too. I have kids with 2 different women, so that right there gets a little touchy right there. It's the, oh, I feel like you're doing this for this kid, but what about mine? But I do feel like I experienced the bitter side of things when, my youngest son actually moved in with me with his mom. We shared an apartment together, and then it started being the whole, well, if she lives there because I don't like her and I feel like she don't like my child, my son can't come over there. And it's like, now you're interfering with the relationship between me and my child. Did my son say he's being mistreated? And at the same time, my character enough to know I'm not going to be with no woman that's going to mistreat my child. And it was a struggle. I used to sit back and be so upset and try and figure it out. And then I finally got myself to a point where what I just had to do is just sit there and say, well, you keep them.
Right.
If we have to do this back and forth over nothing, I'm definitely not finna keep burning that
Yeah.
highway up going back and forth because we don't even
Save me
stay
some
that
gas.
close to each other. So you keep him. You deal with it when he clowning, acting a fool. Don't jump on my phone to say, hey, Will, he's doing A, B, and C. No, you deal with it. Because you just let me know. Basically, you're trying to dictate my household
Yeah.
when you have nothing to do with it. But as soon as I open my mouth and say something about
About
your
your
household,
household.
I need to mind my business. Or I'm the one that's bitter.
Bitter.
And I don't know how, it's just like, it's definitely a struggle. So what would you say as you went through this and probably still dealing with certain things like that? What do you put in place now to keep the stress level down, to try and make it as
Smooth as possible.
smooth as possible?
It's hard.
Yeah, it is.
It can be very stressful. I think if you have a partner that's willing to listen and understand how you feel about the situation, then it makes it a lot easier when they're trying to, be that median, to keep, as neutral as possible, but to try to smooth it out. That always helps. But as far as dealing with it, you are Aries, how we deal with stuff.
We know we gonna blow up when you go too far. We gonna blow up.
We'll hold it and until it gets to the point where it's just like enough is enough. I told you this, and then it, people always see the little smiley happy.
Yeah.
But but don't know the other side of Camica. I try to keep it under wraps because people are, oh, she crazy. But
yeah, you got to. You got to.
So,
don't want to mess up the business.
No, right. The cake doctor is very cool, but
cool. Support again.
Right. But as far as dealing with it, I just really choose not to deal with it. I let him handle that side of whatever. If it's an event, he say, "Oh, we going." I'm going to support, but I don't. I'm not overextending myself anymore to people who don't, appreciate me, who don't. I'm not trying to force a relationship or force myself into a life that doesn't want me in it anymore. I'm 36 now, and this year, the last 2 years alone have showed me so much about myself as far as, I'm still finding myself, and I'm getting to a point where it's just like, I don't care what nobody got to say about anything.
Yeah.
It is what it is. Whatever I decide to do with my life, that's what I'm going to do. If you don't want to be a part of it, that's fine. I got plenty of people who do.
Yeah,
so, I just learn to not deal with it and just move on. Because ain't the point in sitting there, keep, talking about it or going back and forth with a situation that's not going to change until all parties are willing to grow. And you can't dictate how someone else grows. So at that point, I just leave it.
You might need a drink after this one.
The next question?
I got a good one for you.
Lord help me.
So in co-parenting, a lot of people say, oh, we could get along, they want to dictate the rules. Have you ever experienced the whole, or what's your opinion on people feeling like when the other parent moves on, I got to meet who you dealing with?
I really don't have a problem with it. Like, I never, with my girl's dad, I never been like, oh, who is that? I need to meet them. Because, again, I'm trusting his judgment as a parent. If there's someone you want to bring around the kids, then I trust you enough to know that you're not going to have somebody just bogus in front of my kids who don't really, care about them. Or if you're bringing my kids around, then I trust you enough to know that, there's somebody legit or that's cool or potential suitor for you if you're bringing them around the kids. But I also get the perspective of those parents wanting to meet the other person because, again, it's somebody that's going to be in your child's life. Whether it's a short period, long period, you never really know. But I do understand because when you introduce a kid to someone, you got to kind of really know their dynamics, who they are as a person, who they hang around, because that also, if they're living with that parent, then some of those people are going to be around your kids. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on in this world, been going on. So you want to protect your kids at all costs. So I get both sides. Me personally, I just trust their father to not have nobody bogus around my kids, like I said. So I don't get, oh, who is that? I need to meet them. Me, per se, I don't do it, but I get why other people do it.
I think I'm a little bit, I'm on that side that I've never wanted to meet nobody. I'm a little judgmental. I always it's funny that when I was done with we were done with the relationships of the women I had kids with, I kind of felt that my mindset went into the big brother role.
Instead of, yeah.
And then I always felt like, and I'm just being 100% honest, the guys always felt they suckers. Like they're not worth me meeting. I really don't feel like this is a situation that's gonna last.
Right.
In my mind. Now, I've been wrong with the last two situations. They have lasted. My viewpoint ain't changed, but they have lasted. But I felt like I went into the big brother mode where I feel like the way that I see that maybe I should have been to them, where my mindset was at as far as taking care of the family, I'm quick to tell them, like, you don't see that this is an issue. You don't see that, from conversations we've had, this person is lacking here or this and that. So I went into big brother mode more than, who is this guy around my child? I agree with you 100%. I left it at, I trust your judgment. But I always sit there also and say, added to that, my kid's mother know. All I ask is, as the man in her life or my child's life, I'm grown enough to say, just don't overstep when it comes to playing a role in my child's life. You're not my kid's father. I'm an active father. I deal with them. If there's an issue, don't put your hands on my child. If the mother can't take care of it, I'm going to take care of it.
So what would you consider overstepping?
I feel like overstepping to me is when you pretending, and it's happened to me, when you're pretending that you're a real father to my kid, all on social media, you letting this woman hype you, but behind closed doors, you're not giving no financial support. There's no real emotional support that I feel is going on. You're just there because you're dealing with this woman. And just as fast as y'all split, you won't have no dealings with this child no more. There's not going to be no, well, I built a bond. I'm still reaching out. I feel like that's overstepping when, you trying to present something to social media that you're really not. Now if you doing all of this type of stuff, hey, man, my brother, do you? Two fathers or father figures are better than one, because I know what it's like to not have my father active. And when he was around, I couldn't tell the difference, So if that's what it is, then it's cool for me. But even like I said, when I'm telling you, don't put your hands on my child. That's when you cross the line. You're overstepping. And I've had that situation happen before where an individual felt that because my child is underneath his roof, that now his rules take place. My brother, we had this conversation. It didn't go through the mother. Me and you talked. I said, hey, listen. This is what I feel like is overstepping. I'm a father just like you. You know what's a no-no. Yeah. Once you cross this line, now me and you got to have a problem. And if people want to look at it, well, you fighting because, hey, man, you call it what you want. I'll tell you like this. You can look the record up. Hey. I've been locked up behind somebody putting their hands on my child, and I made sure I gave them the same whooping that they thought they gave my child. I gave it right back to them and went to jail for it, and we'll do it all over again. Because I don't play that kind of stuff. And a lot of people say, oh, man, he really did it because of this. Man, listen, I know what I did it for. Once my son set out his mouth, I got a whooping, it was on. I was giving the whooping to an adult. The person that gave the whooping, he was going to get it back. So, I feel like also with me, on the flip side of it, dealing with women who has kids, I ain't never felt the need to meet the daddy. Never. Because I look at it just the exact same way you said. You ain't in this household. You don't run this household. I don't need to know your rules or what you feel needs to be in place. The reason being, I have kids of my own. I don't want to put my hands on nobody else's kid. Right. I expect the mother to deal with that and the father. So I know my place already. I don't need you to tell me nothing. 9 times out of 10, you normally get the, I don't want this, around my kid. And it's like, is it that you worried about the kid or the woman? Because really what it boils down to is the woman. Your kid ain't never came back and said, Daddy, Will pinching me. Will waking me out my sleep. Will making me do there's none of that going on. So I know what it really is you don't want me around this woman. Exactly. So I don't even entertain the whole, yeah, you know, because I need to meet him. My
Yeah.
brother. If she trusts me around these kids, you go on about
Right.
business. Like, we ain't got nothing to talk about. So,
Right.
you know, I stand on that side of it, too.
I don't know if, well, I never asked because I don't care too much, but I don't know if they ever asked to meet me. I mean, I've met some suitors, but I always make them feel comfortable. Like if they're around me, I'm not a fake person, and there's no issue between me and the dad. So if he choose you, I welcome you with open arms. You know, as long as you, like you said, you ain't putting your hands on my kid. None of that. I asked about the overstepping just because I was accused of overstepping before. So,
Do you think you was?
not at all. It was funny to me because they weren't saying that I was overstepping when you couldn't pick your kids up and you call me and I go get them,
It's beneficial.
or if I had your kids more than you had them, or it wasn't overstepping then. I think when it got to the point where I think they probably thought that the relationship with me and my husband was just short term, and when it took a turn for something more serious,
It's like,
it kind of ruffled some feathers, and so I think that's what stirred up a lot of now you overstepping your boundary. Okay, I'll just back up.
Have you ever seen a situation to where it's happened to you personally, or from the outside looking in, you've seen somebody else's situation to where the kids play a role where the co-parenting situation now becomes dysfunctional?
Somewhat, because I think it can take that turn if that other parent is putting stuff in that child's ear, and then they will go back to the other parent and kind of play that role. I have seen it, witnessed it, and kind of been a part of it as far as it happening to me, but I've never put my hands on my husband's kids. He never put his hands on my kids, and he don't even want me put my hands on them. So he's a lollipop anyway, but especially when it comes to the girls. But I have seen what some kids were like, oh, they was being mean to me. Okay, what you mean by being mean to you? Because I correct you, or if I tell you, just like if y'all all in here acting a fool, you jumping around, I'm telling y'all it's time to sit down, and I'm fussing at all y'all, now I'm being mean.
Well, yeah, that's common right there.
So, so I have witnessed that firsthand. But like I said, I don't treat anybody, kids, no better or no worse than I do my own. The kids don't ask to be here. I love them all the same. And that's just that. It's not going to change my love for them as far as because, whatever situation or issue between the parents, that doesn't stop my feelings. I just learn how to pull back in. And that's just more so to protect myself because I felt, like it did hurt initially. Like, especially, these kids had been around me growing up, our younger two were like this. And so when they first left and moved, like, it hit all of us hard. Not just them. They was, was at our house all the time. So, it was hard. It took some adjusting and just realizing it ain't you. It really ain't you. Because I had to sit back and I even asked my husband, I'm like, what did I do? Like I said, can you really sit here and tell me one specific thing that I did to make them feel some kind of way towards me?
Couldn't come up with
nothing. So, so when I got to that point, it was just like, okay, it is what it is. Just protect my own feelings. Just love them from a distance. Yeah. That's what I do. You got to do that with a lot of people.
You got to protect your own peace.
Yeah.
Make sure your mental is on point. Because if your mental is off, you're no good to nobody else.
Exactly. So
I definitely understand that situation.
And I got 4 of my own to try to be sane for. It's hard, but Lord, gotta try to keep pushing and make it day by day.
So we are in the social media era. Everybody got Snapchat to Facebook to Instagram. We're in the era where everybody loves to sneak this.
Of course.
And you see a lot of people who are going to watch this and say, yeah, I feel what they saying. A lot of people are bitter and this, that, and the other. What's your thoughts on the ones that you see do it? They go at their baby daddy. They go at their baby mother. And it's back and forth. And I'm talking about they air out all the dirty laundry. But this woman has watched this man have previous kids before her. Mm-hmm. He didn't do right by any of those. But she thought
she had that real stuff.
I'm going to one up you so you don't get them. I'm going to have a baby, or my baby's going to be so much different than all of y'all's. And then those are the ones that's crying and complaining and going back and forth. What do you think about them?
I really don't give too much thought to them. To each his own. But I feel like if you saw the patterns,
yes,
before stepping into that ring with them, you know, I know they say don't judge a book by its cover, but if the pages are looking the same as you flip through, what makes you think the conclusion gonna be any different? Just because it got you in it now? Okay, you must got that gold lining. So, you know, and I do see a lot of females that tend to think that as far as, you know, it didn't work with them, but it's gonna work with me. But my thing is never you, it's the man. If it's all about his integrity. If he's somebody who has integrity, some values, some moral code behind him, then yeah, he could change and he could be that man that you want him to be. But until he's ready to be that, it's not gonna be any different. You'll just be baby mama number what.
Yeah. So, as a woman, can you find sympathy for those women?
I can empathize with them some, because we as women, we hopeful. We hope. Mm-hmm. We want the best for everybody. We want to give them. We want to love on people. We want them to love on us. You always want that Cinderella story per se. But this life, and you ain't gonna have no glass shoe at the end of this story. But so you think that you could change them, but there's no changing somebody if they don't want to change.
I'm not gonna lie, and this is probably the judgmental side of me. I have a hard time feeling sorry for them. I really do.
Because you figure they did it.
You did it to yourself. You know, when there's examples of these men having 2 and 3 kids that they don't have nothing to do with. And you know, my thing is, I tell these to men because I've had to go through it myself. Mm-hmm. All the time, it's not always the mother tripping. Mm-hmm. Ladies, stop listening to that all the time. Because my thing
not you,
is,
baby girl.
Take a step back and look at a man's actions. A lot of people like to say the court system is just for women. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of men who got custody of their kids. There's a lot of men who get 50-50. If you're not even fighting, right, then sweetheart, you should be able to see that for yourself to say, nah, he ain't as serious. Yeah. So when you really realize, oh, he don't want to be a part of his kid's life. He in the club all the time. He with the homeboys all the time. He doing everything but making his way to those kids. And you decide, nah, he really love me though. My kid gonna be different. And you do it. I can't sympathize with you.
I think we get caught up in that love spell. And so you feel like, oh, he gonna change one day. He gonna get it together for me. He love me. So I can empathize. I've been stupid in love, so I can empathize. I've been there, so I can understand it. You know, because when my first kid's dad, it was a lot of back and forth, like between me and his other baby mama. You know, so I've been there. Yeah. That was both of our first child. So that's why I can empathize with them personally, because I've been there. I've been, when I tell you I've been dumb, and so that's why I try not to judge women in that situation, because we all been stupid before. We all done stuff we're not proud of, and so I kind of try to put myself in their shoes and try to look at it from a different perspective, because we all been in situations where it didn't show us in a good light, and so that's why I kind of empathize with them a little bit. But getting older and wiser, if you still doing that same thing, then now I don't have any empathy for you because you on baby daddy number 4. You saw the patterns before, and nothing changed.
Yeah.
And so it's like that definition of insanity. You keep doing the same thing over, expecting a different result, but you're doing the same thing. How are you going to get anything different out of it?
So with that going on, where people are repeating the same cycle, like you said, you've been there before. We've all done something that we're not proud of. You just hope that you correct it and get right with yourself. Do you think that leadership is missing?
From our community, definitely. I think we're kind of just tossed out and figure it out on your own. I think also with us, we are so quick to want to be grown and be on our own, and so we kind of miss out on those leadership qualities because we kind of flying by the seat of our pants, learning on our own. I don't know how your house was growing up, but it was just my mom, and so and she was raising 3 of us. I was the baby. Like I pretty much, it's funny because I was just laughing at my mom was having this conversation about a week ago, and I was telling her, I'm like, I raised myself. I think I did a good job. And so she laughing. She like, girl, you ain't raised. I said, yes, I did. I said, you were never home, And so it's kind of taught us to try to figure it out on our own. And so I think that's where we lack leadership because we don't know. We're trying to figure it out without having someone there as a role model to try to give us that guidance, to show us like, okay, I've been a young blood. Let me show you. That ain't gonna work out for you. I did that already. We could bypass that step and let's try to get you on the correct path. I think now our generation is trying to do that more with the younger generation, but a lot of them don't want to even take heed to it.
There's a different breed of young people right here. Boy.
So, we know what we was lacking. And so you try to be what you were missing out on, what you needed growing up. So you try to be that for other people. And so, to me, I felt like I kind of raised myself. So now I'm trying to be a present parent for my child, for my kids, because I feel like I don't want them. I'm giving them all the guidance. Look, my girls, when I tell you I talk to them about everything, ain't no sugarcoat nothing. I'm giving it to him just how it should have been gave to me. Ain't no fairy tale ending at this. Oh, he gonna play you, baby girl. He still mess with her. I said he ain't called. He's still talking to old girl. I tell my oldest daughter this all the time. He's still messing with her. I try to give them that guidance that I didn't have as a young woman growing up, and even my boys, teaching them how to be young gentlemen. I'm not getting out this car to pump this gas. Get up. So it's teaching them how to be leaders for themselves.
Do you feel like you're the voice of reasoning for certain friends that, because we all have the ones that pretend like, no, I just want you to talk me out of this situation because, I think I'm making a mistake. You give them all the advice, but they still want to do what they want to do. Are you really the voice of reason for friends or even younger people that, look at your situation and say, I really want that, what she got?
You don't want what I got. I think that's a facade. People look on the outside looking in, always like, that's an ideal couple or that's an ideal woman. That you don't know what it took to get to that place. You don't know just how much, pain or how much sacrifice. You just don't know what you were hoping for. You see an outside picture. Ain't nobody gonna post no picture of them crying. Well, I take that back because they do now. They do that hospital pictures and stuff. So I take that back. But Facebook, Snapchat, those are highlights of a person's lives. Those are not the full credits that roll in the movie. Those are just like a trailer, but it's giving you all the highs of the movie. So people see that and say, oh, you had this ideal relationship. Y'all just look so happy. And, it is happy moments, but a relationship is going to go through the ups and downs. And so you'll never see me on Facebook down to my husband. I get mad. I could be mad at him right now.
Right now, you never know it.
You know, but I'm not gonna air him out on Facebook or Snap or nothing like that. I think, you know, you gotta have some kind of privacy as far as certain things. Now, you know, I post certain stuff, but again, those are just like snippets of my life, and so I think people tend to look at that and be like, I want that. You don't know what you're really asking for.
Mm-hmm.
So
someone who is younger and dealing with co-parenting issues, what advice would you give?
have patience. Don't hold back your feelings as far as, you know, you're a human being, and I think when we sit back, if you're in a relationship with someone, you need to be comfortable enough to express how you feel without it being any judgment, and no backlash for you having those feelings, because you're human. It's a big responsibility taking on somebody else's child, you know. That's a lot. Mm-hmm. You know, now, you know, you're stepping into a role that you never been in. So I would say have patience and be open and have an open line of communication where it's, you know, back and forth between you and that partner, and being comfortable enough to voice your real, true opinions, because I think sometimes we hold back because we don't want to hurt somebody's feelings. But if you're feeling a certain type of way, for whatever reason you're feeling that way, you need to voice it and try to figure out or rectify, because sometimes it could be your own personal issues from growing up, those insecurities, and all you need is just that partner to be like, it ain't even like that, you know. This is what it is. And so when you have that open line of communication, then it's so much better for everybody involved. And
I fully agree with you. Anybody that's having co-parenting issues, I definitely stress communication. Mm-hmm. Communication is key. A lot of times I had to realize myself, I'm quick to, you know, back then yell, and instantly I'm saying the first thing that comes to my mind. Once you start getting disrespectful, the person on that other end of taking that disrespect, they clearly don't hear anything after that you done said, and you're just making the situation worse. If it takes for you to take a step back from the situation and revisit it later because you're in your feelings right now, then you do that. But once the disrespect starts to fly, it's pretty much a wrap, and it just get worse and worse. And I would also stress to people that's having co-parenting issues, if you just can't get across to a person that you're dealing with, and the only other route you know to go is the court systems, then go that route, because it's not really just for women. It's for guys too. I know what it feel like to be on child support. I know a lot of people say, man, who is a judge to tell me, you know, what I'm supposed to pay? I get all of that. But when you sit back and you weigh your options, you got to ask yourself, what's more important, my relationship, or a healthy relationship with my child, or keep dealing with the back and forth? So that's what I would say. Yeah. I got a good one for you. What's that? You coming up with a lot of good ones. I got a good one for you. Got a good one for you. What's this good one? I'm already finna hear this with this air. I'm ready. What would the Camica of today tell the younger Camica that went through co-parenting issues? What advice would she give? Ooh, I got blocked for myself. We want to hear. Kind of pretty much piggybacking off what I said, to start voicing whatever feelings that I was feeling at the time, instead of, you know, us, we'll hold it in until it get to that point, and then it's just a big bomb when we finally let it out. And then they looking at you like, dang, was it that serious? And it could have been a small situation that blew it up, but it was because you done put all these little bitty fires together, per se. What I would say as far as being a better communicator, because a lot of times, in order to not cause confrontation or an argument, I just wouldn't say nothing. You know, even if I was feeling a certain type of way, I just wouldn't. No, it ain't even worth it. I ain't even finna go there. But this last year, when I tell you I've been speaking my mind, and that's with everybody, like friends, family. I just, like, my patience for real. Like, we are impatient people, but
like this last 2 years, I have none for nobody. When I tell you I have no patience for nobody, that is literally what I mean. And so, you know, back then I was a lot more patient and, you know, trying to, you know, make it more comfortable for the other parent, because I know you're in a messed up situation. You just want to be an active parent. And, you know, it sucks. But me, you know, I feel like, you know, when I'm right, I'm right. And I
feel it in here.
Yeah, it's like, when I'm right, I'm right. And you is not going to tell me I ain't right about this. And so, certain situations I could have handled a little different, like with the social media stuff. My husband, he's not going to say anything, but I wasn't saying anything either, but I felt like it was a personal attack towards me, and so I went back on that and addressed it. And, you know,
it feel good.
It felt good.
To the soul.
It felt good.
People don't understand that. It feel good to the soul. May not be right.
When you first do it, it was, and then, you know, I was proud of myself. Like, you trying to comfort me, like,
yeah.
But in the end, you know, I didn't think about, maybe the kids probably see this later. Maybe, you know, I didn't think about all that stuff. All I thought about was you attacking me unwarranted. I ain't did nothing to you. And you know, he ain't gonna say nothing because he want to keep down confusion. I'm gonna say so. And so,
I know how that goes.
you know, hindsight, you know, 2020. But if I would have told myself, just chill. Let her have that moment. Let her. She feel like she one up you on that. If that's what it take for her to feel that bravo, like, then let her have it. You know, you better than that. So I would have probably handled that situation different, because I think that too kind of put a little damper on the relationship between me and, you know, the other kids. So what else would I tell myself besides that? I think I had enough patience back then, so I want to tell myself patience, but the communication and just letting it flow. Because before I'll take it back. I had my oldest daughter already, but I was already realizing that the relationship wasn't going to work with me and their dad. And I used to always say, I was in college, I'm like, if I ever be with somebody else, I'm not being with nobody who have kids. Like, I used to always tell myself that. I'm like, I ain't dealing with nobody baby mama. You know, even though I was a baby mama at that time, I ain't dealing with nobody else's baby mama. I know what type of woman I am. No, they ain't going to have no problem out of me. Right. So I didn't want that, but, you know, it happened.
It happened.
It happened, so I had to learn how to, you know, roll with the punches with that one.
Oh, yeah.
If I wanted to, you know, be in his life, so.
I would say I would tell myself, if I had to give my younger self some advice, first off, stop arguing just to prove I'm right.
We got that bad.
If I know I'm right, just say, you got it. Okay. You're right. Like, I know it, but I had to show that I'm right.
Right.
Listen to get an understanding instead of listening just to respond and say, oh, I'm finna kill you dead with these words here, because you got the right one. Like, in my mind, I'm the lip sparring champ. Right. We can go. I'm going to go overboard. I'm petty to the point where you like, all right, enough is enough. We could just get off the phone. No, I'm just getting started at that point. Yeah. So I would say definitely listen to understand instead of just respond. And I would encourage myself to have better people around me that can give me better advice as to how to deal with certain situations. A lot of times we talk to homeboys and they just agree with anything that we say, anything that we do. Yeah, bro, you know, you right. Yeah, you should, because I know what type of father you are. And it's like, how? Right. You know, you ain't around me like that, or you know, we don't. Seeing. Yeah, you know, you from the outside looking in. So, you know, talking to people that can give you some guidance, whether it's male or female. And, you know, navigate that way to make a healthy relationship. And really sit back and say, sometimes, what's best for the kid? Yeah. Because a lot of times I would put me being right before the situation with the kids. It's like, I want my kid. I want to be involved. But it's more important for me to make sure you know you wrong. You
Right.
overstepping, and this is a situation that I don't like. I'm the money man, you know. I'm the one that outspend you. I'm buying all the Nikes, the Jordans. So, you know, you better know my way is right. All of that is childish, and it comes with a childish mindset. You know, you only know what you know as an 18-year-old, a 19-year-old. A lot of people don't get it in their 30s, you know, early 30s. You know, hopefully you do, but, you know, some don't. So that would be the advice that I would definitely give myself. Find better people to discuss certain situations. They have life experience.
Yeah.
You know.
And that's what I had to start seeking out more. So, like, my friends, they do give great advice. My close friends, my immediate little circle, give great advice, and they'll tell me, "Oh no, you on BS. Like, you need to sit down." And you know, you need that balance or whatever. But they've been through certain situations that I hadn't been through yet, and so when I got to those points, you know, and you know, I had Alexa. She'll tell me, "Well, I wish somebody had told me this," and you know, and she'll tell me, I'm like, I ain't never think about it from that, you know. Or if I come to her like, "Oh, girl, he tripping," you know, and she be like, "No, you tripping." Like, you need that check and balance. And then also, you know, when I was heavy in church, just seeking out some of the mothers that, you know, been in situations like that, and they'll tell you some real stuff. You be surprised. Like having,
you went through that.
Yeah, like mother, right? What you say, mama? but I'm telling you, like they really, like I love Deacon Ann from First Baptist. Oh my goodness, I love her to death. Like she has really helped me out a lot, and just we had started like this little women's group of stuff, and we would go and ask, you know, real questions that we had concerns about, or was feeling some kind of way, and like she would guide us, like for real. I love her to death, you know, to this day. But you definitely need that older mentality. I think her and her husband been together 50 years. So that's it's like how did you make it that long?
That's a blessing.
So that having that, how did y'all deal with this? And having somebody who actually been there is definitely a blessing to tell you, like, yeah, baby girl, don't handle it like that. I know you mad right now, but I'm telling you, don't do that. Yeah. So you need that.
Oh yeah, most definitely. So everybody that comes on the show, as I get ready to wind down, I always want to open the floor up to you and see if there's any other thing that you would like to discuss, anything that you had on your mind that we didn't get to, another point that you wanted to add, whatever the case may be, any shout outs. The floor is yours to do as you please.
Let me think. I think we, you know, as far as everything with co-parenting, we covered everything. I just think in relationships, it's always a up and down. So you don't be quick to judge people, you know, because you don't know if they're in their downtime, whatever, you know, the posts and stuff like that. You just don't know what somebody is really dealing with, because you got a lot of smiling, depressed people in today's, a lot, you know. And I think we all, with these last 2 years, have been dealing with so much. That just be kind. You know, you just never know what somebody going through, so you want to be that vessel, that smile, that hug they might need.